Hey, what's up guys? Shadow Steel here, and welcome back to Railworks Sundays. So, this month, today we're going to be going back a little bit in time. Today we are back we're back on Promontory Summit. And, we haven't been on this route in a while. I think we ran on this route a long time ago. And, it was one of those situations, and that route back then, because of safeties, holy hell. Back then, we, operated the, I think it was the Buffalo back then. So, it's been a while. And like I said, I can't remember when that video came out. Yeah, we're on Promontory Summit today on a very early morning run in the dead of winter. I think I need the rear dampers open if I'm not mistaken, right? Rear dampers. Got it. Alright, we're open. That should get the fire. We should get that. We should be open there, so. Alright. Okay. I think I see why I'm breaking the cylinders half the time on this locomotive. I've tried playing the scenario multiple times for a test run, and every time I seem to pop the cylinder, like break the cylinders wide open. So there's that. But yeah, it's been a while. So today, by the time the last part, this is going to be a two-parter, much like last Railworks Sundays. This is going to be a two-parter. And because of that, the last part comes out on May 9th, which is, I believe, either the day before or the day of National Train Day, which was the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. So, it's just something that I figured was a good idea to kind of play off of. So, right now, we picked up our baggage car, and we're picking up the rest of our train, which is right back there. We're going to shut the throttle off here, so we can get kind of off the switch here. And the safeties are going off repeatedly, but I'm going to get the fire prepared for a run. That whistle, I swear. Yep, that triggered the brakes. Alright, perfect. And we're going to do this. We're going to go back in the map. We're going to flip the switch back here. And we're going to trigger the signal. Got it. Approved. Alright, and then reverse. Go. This locomotive is very interesting on how it operates. So, if you haven't guessed, this is Smokebox Simulations Idaho, which is a very different locomotive compared to what we've operated in the last couple of scenarios. Not the least of which was Machine Rail's Frisco 1500 class. Everything's off, so we should... Oh, no, yeah, everything's off. But the locomotives, they don't have air brakes on them, obviously. They don't have a braking system on them in a traditional sense. So as a result, we have to work... Oh, there's another train coming. We have to blow the whistle to kind of trigger the brakeman, which will apply or release the handbrakes. So we don't actually have to worry about it too much. Train coming this way. He's coming this way. Holy crap, he's moving fast. What the hell are you doing, sir? That's the Omaha right back there. So, I think coupling speed is about 2.5 miles an hour with these cars, because I think they're light, slower speeds because of the Lincoln pin, which is another unique thing about these cars. They use Lincoln pin they don't use the standard knuckle couplers on these cars. Smokebox did a lot, and I think I've talked about this before, where he did a lot in terms of like the scripted nature of these cars. So they're very interesting. For example, the locomotives, as you can see here, when the fire mass on the Idaho in particular doesn't go past 53%. And that is because it's a wood fire. You don't want to overfill the firebox with a wood fire, but you also don't want to, you know, but like basically you don't want to choke the fire or make it too weak. So it's a very interesting dynamic. Wood-fired locomotives are very, very tricky to operate. Got it. Got a hitch. Got it. Let's go. Let's make sure we're lined out. All right, we're good. Let's go. While I'm at the reverser set here, I'll send the whistle. Alright, we should be good. So, the Omaha is waited at the siding there, and we're now leaving. Let's wait for the brakes to pick off. They're good. Alright, let's go. Come on, yeah. I have the Sanders on too, so that should get... Oh, we don't have the Sanders on. Okay, here we go. Now we got the Sanders on. That should do it. I don't want to slip out of the station here. That would trash the cylinders. Especially on this locomotive. I've actually slipped out of the station before and nearly destroyed the locomotive right out the gate, so... And we don't want the throttle wide open until we get up to speed, because that's just going to blow the cylinder heads right out. Which has happened quite a few times on even modern steam locomotives in this day and age. Oh, I just realized, it's so dark in this recording that you guys can't see much of anything. Which, granted, I can fix. Granted, this is what I'm seeing. Like, what you're seeing on screen is what I'm seeing right now. So, there's that. Alright, off we go. Now we're getting up to speed here. So our speed limit is 10 miles an hour. Let's go. Clear it ahead. Once we get enough, so these locomotives, they're a part of the pro range. They are very much pro locomotives. You do not want to screw around with these too much. Alright, so we're kind of doing okay. Alright, we're going to shut the throttle off so we can get up to speed here. I've learned that the locomotives seem to be okay at 22% on the reverser. But when you but you can't, that's another thing about these locomotives. You cannot change the reverser while moving. These use Stephenson valve gear. They're using the old school Stephenson valve gear. And as a result, when you open the throttle, the reverser has a tendency to we're picking up speed here. Alright, we're good. Alright, there we go. When you open the reverser, you have to if you want to change the reverser, you have to shut down the throttle. You have to shut off the throttle because it will instantly throw the reverser into full forwards. Now I could show that, but oh, okay, now we're good. I just noticed we're out of the 10 mile an hour limit. Okay, line the switch so the other train can get around. There you go. All right, off we go. And then I'm gonna shut the throttle off so we can get some more reverser back here a bit. There we go, 22. Let's go. Wait for the cylinders to kind of fill up with steam. The steam chest is also very interesting. It will actively reassign. Yep, I know. We cleared it. There we go. Off we go. We don't want the throttle wide open, but we do want some speed out of this locomotive here. So this is the dead of winter on Promontory Summit, and we're operating a passenger train. What could go wrong? The railroads have been a very interesting beast over the years, I will admit. The amount of improvements the railroad did, especially with steam technology. Back in the day, steam technology was the state of the art. Back in the 1800s, 1850s specifically. 1850s, this was state of the art. 100 years later, the giant behemoths of the 4884 big boys and the 210-4 Texas type locomotives, they were the state of the art. I have a picture from my local railroad museum, and it just shows the progression of steam locomotives in a nutshell. It is this dinky little 440, American 440, the Daniel Nason, to be specific, and next to a Santa Fe Railroad 410-2, a Texas type, and it just looks absurd. The locomotive in particular that's next to the Daniel Nason is the 5011. That's the locomotive. I'm trying to figure out which locomotive it was. Just turning on the blower and everything so we can get up to speed. We're expected at Blue Creek at 8:05. I want to get there as fast as I can. I want to pick up some speed here too. All right, there we go. And let's go ahead and get some water in the boiler while we're doing this. All right. Oh, interesting. I just noticed that. It's very faint, but I think there's steam actually coming out of the cylinders. Like out of the cylinder packing out there. Which is very interesting. Another thing about this locomotive, you cannot put in water if you're stationary. You have to be moving to put in water, which, granted, pretty big oversight when it came to steam. I should also turn on feed water heaters here. That's a sander. Feed water heater, go ahead and turn that on. Make sure we got water in the boiler. There we go. Make sure we get the water heaters going here. But yeah, the state of the art really advanced pretty quickly with steam technology over the course of a century. And then when it came to diesel electrics, it went even faster. The first real diesel electric locomotive that was a success was in 1910, and it was your standard box cabs. It was a set of they were box cab locomotives built by a conglomerate of the American Locomotive Works, so ALCO, General Electric, and I want to say there's some sort of car company that was tied to it as well. But these were all big names, and they had released a series of box cabs that effectively were basically for switching purposes, mainly out of New York. And when that occurred, little did people know back in 1920 that less than 30 years later, diesel electrics would be the wave of the future for the railroads. Because between the 1920s and then 1950, you came out with the famous FTs. In fact, the FTs actually were a couple decades later was the FT units. And then you had the famous F units, the Jeeps, the SD units, which would come out in the 60s and 70s. And now, and keep in mind, that's all in the span of less than 50 years. So big leap in technology there. So the whole thing was that technology was technology and the railroads kind of went hand in hand in a couple ways. The hell is that? What the hell are those sun rays? That's weird looking. Yeah, it was something that, for the most part, I'm wondering if the dampers are not set correctly. Try that one? Try that one. Try and get the dampers open here to get the fire going. Well, shut her off. We're going too fast. I'll just open up both. Why not? As long as we're at speed now for a bit. Shut the throttle down a bit. Want to make sure we get some boiler pressure back up while we get things going. Oh, right. Open the cylinder cock so we don't blow the cylinder heads off. You don't want to... So... But yeah, same technology... Railroad technology, especially with the railroads, it was a rapid advance with technology on the railroads. And it was just it's very interesting to see that back in the 1850s, this was the state of the art. This was what you had. Less than... and about 100 years later, we had the behemoths like the Big Boy and the Santa Fe's and the 484 Northerns and all these other behemoths of locomotives. And they really came out with like interesting technology. Like a lot of locomotives back in the day were very interesting. So, oh, what the hell? Oh, that's the headlight that's doing that. Huh. Okay. We'll wait for the boiler pressure to pick up a little bit before we kind of open up the throttle. Alright, that's good enough. We have the cylinder cocks open so we don't like don't have the cylinders filled with water as we've opened up everything. So alright, shut her off. That should be enough. As long as you get a couple rotations in there, you should be cleared. But yeah, state of the art of these locomotives are like the railroads. Railroads were probably the most modern way of traveling in the 1800s, 1850s mainly. And 100 years later, in the 1950s, that became airlines and road and the highways. Because you have to keep in mind that with the technology boom of, especially after World War II, World War II really did a number with railroads in multiple ways. In Europe, railroads were blown to bits by all the bombing runs and everything in that sense. All the bombing runs, all the locomotives that were torn up. Railroads were basically pretty beat up by the end of World War II. And then you have other situations like but in the United States, it was a different story. They were beat up, there's no doubt about that, but it was for a different reason. In the United States, the railroads were beat up simply because of just how much we used them. Both in Canada and in the United States, the railroads were being used so heavily that by 1945, when the war ended, it was like a lot of those steam locomotives were in dire need of replacement. That's why dieselization was done so quickly in the United States. It was mainly because in World War II, we had worn down those locomotives to the breaking point in a lot of cases, and it was just not worth it keeping many of them around. Now, granted, there were other countries like Great Britain that decided to dieselize much later, but that was out of necessity. From the UK's point of view, dieselization was only was not the main focus. It was rebuilding the railroads after all the bombing runs, like the Battle of Britain and everything. The railroads were just in desperate need of being rebuilt. In fact, they were still being rebuilt by the 1960s when dieselization started to occur. Like, it was that bad in terms of how the railroads were beat up, and I cannot imagine how many of the railroads in mainland Europe were like by that point. Because they all just had they were all in pretty bad shape by that point. So, yeah, I just can't imagine, like, with the railroads and everything that happened, it's like dieselization was going to happen regardless. So that was one blow to the railroads. The other blow was actually, again, the result of the war, and that was because of aircraft industry advanced so quickly during World War II. You have to keep in mind that in both world wars, we literally had advanced air combat very quickly. In World War I, air combat was a brand new thing. By World War II, planes were going 3 times as fast as they did in World War I. And by the end of World War II, we had jets. Some of the first operational combat jets were deployed by the British and the Germans in World War II. The Me-262 and the Gloucester Meteors were the first operational jet fighters in World War II. And the United States also had a jet fighter that was just about ready to be, like just in the process of being deployed. It never got deployed because it was still in the testing phase by the end of the war. But it was one of those situations where, oh yeah, like, we need to basically, we need to go faster. It's like, it's like a certain blue hedgehog. You gotta go fast. That was kind of the main appeal of air-to-air combat. It was like, speed is life in air-to-air combat. Well, the same applies in the sense of just like day-to-day travel. The faster you can go it's more of a luxury. Today, traveling from coast to coast, it takes only a few hours by aircraft. By train, it takes a little over 5 hours. Five or like a couple days, at least a couple days by rail. But that's because of just how the railroads work nowadays. So air travel really bit into the passenger market for the railroads. But that was never the case back in the day. Back in the turn of the century, in the 1920s, you could travel faster by train than you could by car. In fact, a lot of times it was much faster to go by train than it was to go by boat or car. Because also in the turn of the century, you're still traveling by boat a lot of the times. The Panama Canal was not built until the 1920s, I believe, as well. So a lot of times, when you were traveling by boat, you were going around the whole continent. You were going around South Africa to get to the West Coast. So there was like 2 ways to get around. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, at the end of the day, by the 1940s and 50s, air travel was going to be a dominating force no matter what, because of how the technology was advancing in World War II. And that, to me, like, really shows in today's how railroads are handled nowadays in the United States. If you actually look at the how locomotive designs have been being built in the United States, all of our passenger locomotives are European in nature. Not a single one is designed by United States firms. The Siemens Charger is a European firm. It's built by a European company. The AEM-7 is based off of the AEM-7 and the ACS-64 are based off of European designs. The new Acela Aero, the new Aero and the Acelas were based off European designs. All of our passenger locomotives were basically based off of European designs. And the ones that were based off of American designs were just repurposed freight locomotives. Which, again, shows kind of like the nature of what our interests were in the railroads. In the United States, freight was a key part of our industry. So the idea of like, oh yeah, we'll just make this, like, we'll just repurpose this SD40 and make it into a passenger locomotive and it will be fine. I.e. the SDP-40F. It was not. We needed a new electric locomotive for the Northeast Corridor because our GG1s, which were built in the 30s, need to be replaced. How about we take this electrical freight locomotive that we have over in Arizona the E60 and re-gear it and repurpose it for passenger travel. No? Not a good idea? Okay, whatever. We'll do it anyway. Yeah, a lot of these locomotives that were designed for passenger traffic, that were designed off of American designs, they weren't actually purely made for passenger designs. They were designed for freight, and it still shows. Like to this day, freight trains still have priority on the American rail network, and the passenger network is just mostly European designs. I'm trying to keep the boiler pressure up, but I keep running out of boiler pressure. Trying to keep speed up and the boiler pressure up. I'm just going to drop the reverser back a bit so I can get the steam going. Woo! There we go. It won't get us up to speed. Oh no, well, okay, there we go. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. I guess I had something going on with... I had it at 22 last time. I was not going very fast. Okay. Well, we're going fast now, boys. Unless we're going downgrade. Oh, we might be going downgrade. Okay, fair enough. Because we're on a 0.5% grade and we're picking up speed here. And now we stop. We stop picking up speed. I assume because we're going upgrade now. So this locomotive can only go about 30 miles an hour. About. With top speed. Okay, fair enough. Water! Game freaked out a bit there. Yeah, railroads in the United States were a very different affair to railroads in Europe. In Europe and Asia, trains are a big part of life. They are the main way of travel. You can go by the airlines, you can go get by car, but they're not as efficient and they tend to be a lot more problematic. Here in the United States, we put so much more of an emphasis in the way we like freight and making sure we make money that it becomes a bit of a problem. Now you see, yeah, we're slowing down again. As long as I get to the station on time, we should be good. Just want to get some water in the boiler before I really pump up the throttle. Yeah, we're doing okay. We're not doing too bad. We're slowing down, of course, but we're not doing too bad. 2% grade. There should be a hill just up ahead. I want to get some water in the boiler before we go any further. There you go. Alright. How long have I been recording for here? 30 minutes? Not bad. I think once I get to the first station, I should be able to split the video in half. Which is Blue Creek, like I said. And Blue Creek is about 10 miles out. So we should be there in about... we're going 30 miles, roughly 25 miles an hour. We should be there in a couple minutes. I don't want to slip the wheels too much. We're in snow, so... Honestly, this is a nice looking locomotive, I gotta admit. I do enjoy this. Alright, we're getting boiler pressure back up, and we are not doing too great on the speed. We're kind of slowing down here a bit, but we've kind of made up enough time where I can leave that alone for a little bit. You see the Stevenson valve gear down there, just barely though. It's hard to see in this video, isn't it? I might have to, on the second part, I might have to change it so that I have the view a little bit better. I've come a long way since the last time I recorded on this channel, on this route. Last time I had to do the whole sync thing. I had to sync up my audio on the recording and my video game audio. My little method, by unique by the old, like, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 type method. And I never could get it right. I always had an issue where the sync would never link up correctly. So I oftentimes just ran into, like, a problem there. 84 in the water. No, 85. We're good. About 10 miles out now, so we're doing okay. You can see we're slowing down significantly. I want to get the boiler pressure back up, boy. Okay, that's in the fire. Fuel in the fire. I guess we've been climbing the grade for a while here, so we should be okay. And we have quite the train behind us, too, actually. This is a pretty heavy train. Oh, this is a pretty significant train for this locomotive. We have 3 coaches, 2 baggage cars, and a caboose on the back end here. So we have 6 cars, and we're dropping off 2 at the top of at Blue Creek. Nice little river here. I think right around once it gets to 8 o'clock, we should see the sun a little bit, see the light brighten up here a bit, so we'll see. Time is... We're doing okay. 8:02. We're doing okay. Boiler pressure is at 110 psi. More fuel to the fire, please. 111 psi. If we can keep our speed up, that'd be great. Well, don't have high hopes for that. That's enough fuel on the fire. I'm going to try something here because I need a end card anyway for this route. You get a shot of the train rolling by here. Oh, here she is. A little close to the tracks there, buddy, but that's fine. Here she comes. Had to get a screenshot there too. All right. Too bad. I think I've done this shot a few times with other games. Where it's like right next to the tracks. Alright, here we go. Back in the game. Yeah, we're doing okay. 25 is not bad. And for the time and everything, yeah, we're doing okay. Alright, we're good. We don't want the fire to die out, but we want to make sure we keep everything moving. I've played Smokebox's content before on the channel too, and he's actually commented on my videos a few times. Back in the day when I first operated the 119, he actually gave me a few tips on how to operate the locomotive. That's actually how I learned about the dampers down here, is that they are supposed to be the reverse of the direction of travel. Oh, interesting. I just noticed the windows fog up when you have the... Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if they're affected by weather. Oh! We're slowing down. Oh, are we on the grade here? No, we're not. We're not on the grade, but we're going to be here shortly. I'm going to shut the throttle off here real quick. With the cylinder cocks. Get the fire going. We're going to reverse, set the reverser up a little bit. There we go. Open up. I think this is the grade here that we're going on. Make sure we got fuel in the fire. There's a grade just up ahead. I think it's like a couple miles. Yeah, it's a couple miles from Blue Creek, so we shouldn't be too bad off. Alright, get some water in the water here. Trying the water pressure rather quick. Shut her off. On the coast. Okay. Alright, we're good. I'm going okay. Make sure the cylinder, make sure we're not filled with water on the cylinder there. Alright. We're doing okay. 0% grade, so we should be okay. Again, sorry for the video quality. I'm gonna change this when I get to the Blue Spring. When we get to Blue's Creek, I keep saying Blue Springs, but Blue Creek, and then I'm gonna end the recording there, so we can do the second part in a different video. Because Lord knows, I've already been recording for about 38 minutes, and we're still halfway, not even close to our destination, which is Blue Creek. There we go. That's enough water. Okay. I guess we don't need those on, really. Oh. Try and get our speed back up so we can get a little bit on this hill. Alright, shut her off a little bit. We're kind of lowering our water pressure too much. Yep, we have no fire in there. No fuel in the fire. That's probably why we're slowing down too much. There you go. We don't want to be too cold, like too full, but we don't want to be too heavy on the fire either. I wonder if we can keep putting wood in the fire while we're doing this. Maybe. Okay, shut her off. Alright, there we go. The boiler pressure build back up here. We're doing okay. Yeah, 6 miles out. We're going to need to make sure we are ready for that hill here. So I'm going to put the reverser up a little bit so we can get some fuel and so we can get the power up. Now, we're already on a 3% grade. Which means we should be close to that grade there. Or 0.3% grade. So we're getting there at 8 o'clock. Not bad. At least that's what the ETA says. So 8 o'clock. We should be there soon. And the scenario, I believe, started at 7. If I'm not mistaken. So we should be good. There you go. That's enough fuel. So you can blow the cylinder heads off this locomotive, and you can also like damage it via the just running it wild. I think there's also an advanced mode, which I think I'm in. Not sure. Also, I'll have to double check on that when I get into Blue Creek. Because I think I'm in advanced mode, which is what's causing me to blow the cylinder heads and everything. But hey, at least I'm running it in advanced mode. Oh, shit. Don't do that. Yeah, we're doing that. We're hitting it too hard, though. Yeah. See, the steam chest kind of takes a while for it to run through there. Alright, we're 5 miles out. ETA looks to be increasing just a bit. Oh, no, it's decreasing. Okay. Alright, cool. As long as we get the boiler pressure up, we should be fine. And you can see that now as it's getting to be 8 o'clock, you can see the sun has actually started to come out. There's the sun right back there. Let's go ahead and fill the water up while we're doing this. Going up here. Looks like the boiler pressure's raising quickly too. So we got the fire mass right at the the ideal temperature here because we're starting to blow it. You can see the grade is kind of starting to steepen up here a little bit as we climb the grade. Oh, interesting. So we'll not blow. That's interesting. Huh. Just noticed that. It has to take a bit before the cylinders actually start spraying steam. That's a little quirk that I didn't know about. So it will stay silent if you're still got water in the cylinders, but when you start getting steam, you start hearing it blow, like eject steam out there. That's interesting. All right, that's enough water in the boiler. I'll get some more fuel in the fire. Run level track again. Use the brakes, open silicox, close that. We're going around this curve here. 5 miles out. I'm going to reduce the reg a bit. We've used about most of our fuel. We're down to 4 tons of fuel. Not too bad though. 5 miles out. 5 miles out, 5 miles ahead. 2 miles out, 1 mile back. Or 1 mile ahead, 2 miles back. That's what this line is. Okay, there it goes. Alright, once we get over... Yeah, there we go. Close. It's the squeaking of the car. 4 miles... Okay, we're doing okay. We should be okay. Bro. I gotta be one hell of a fucking video. Alright. Whew. What the fuck is going on? 30. Okay. Alright. We've made it up the hill. We're making it. We're going up the grade now. This is where things get challenging. I think I have the sander on, right? Yeah, I do. We get up some speed here as we climb the grade. Try and maintain boiler pressure as well. We're about 4 miles out, 4 1/4. All right, I'm doing okay. And we've got about 15 minutes until we reach the side until we reach Blue Creek, so we should be okay. The question is, will we make it up the grade? Because this is okay. It looks like we're hitting the grade now. If that's the problem, there's a grade right about here that's about 1%. It looks like we're just about to hit it. We're not allowed to boiler pressure on, so you gotta admit. We don't need the water too much. It's not yet. Now we're at 4 miles out. I think it's about 2 miles away when we start hitting the grade. I haven't learned this route well enough where I can actually understand what I'm doing. So that's that. We are increasing our time, like our timeless bonus. So that's good. All right, shut down the throttle and do that for a little bit. Open silicox. Put some fuel in the fire. Open up the water. That way we can get water in the boiler before we hit the grade. And we're going to increase the throttle or the reverser here. Let it coast a bit. You know, that's good. Let the fire build up. As we're going 27 miles an hour, we're on level track. We can see on the track map there, we're actually about to hit the grade here. Or at least it keeps looking like that to me, but that might be just my depth perception being dumb. I think I've mentioned this before in a few videos, but I'm blind in one eye, I'm partially blind in the other, which is brilliant. Not great for a railroad engineer if you want to be one. Okay. We're slowing down now. We're still on level track though, so we should be fine. Somehow we are still gaining time on the schedule there. That's funny. Okay. Once I get the water level to about 80, 90 some odd percent, we should be fine. Actually, let me double check here. There we go. That's good enough. The 90 is about where we want to be. Got it. We don't want to be above the third tricock because that will just overfill the boiler. Good clanking around there. The little smoke, the little like wisp of smoke as we climb the grade here is kind of nice. Okay, it looks like we're about to hit the grade here, so I'm gonna increase the reverser just a tad. We can get the thing ready to go. I think, yeah, we should be close to the grade here because there's a bridge like about a mile out from from Blue Creek, and that's yeah. Here we are. You see the sun's finally coming out. You can actually see detail. Oh, there goes the safeties too. The safeties are coming off. There goes the cylinders. Once we get water out of the cylinders, we should be good. More fire! And she's a bit silent. I'm assuming there's a lot of water in the cylinders. Yeah, there's the Stevenson valve gear. You can see it right there, just a bit. You actually modeled that quite well, honestly, I gotta admit. So yeah, we're on the 0.7% grade, so there should be a 1% up the hill. Alright, shut her off for a little bit. Drop the reverser a bit. Open it up. Don't want to open it wide open, but this is kind of where this is where things get tricky. Because you want to have the fire mass at a ideal position. But you also don't want to, you know, you don't want to cause the cylinders to burst and everything. So, oh, what the hell's that up there? Okay, we're about 2 miles out. We should be on the, yeah, we're on the 1%. This is where I got stuck this is where I ended up screwing myself over last time. When I was heading up the grade here, I actually ended up slipping significantly to the point where I like flung the cylinders into destruction. Okay, boiler pressure seems to be okay. Not doing too bad. We're on the 1% climb up to Blue Creek. Looks like we're also gaining speed, which is good. That's what we want. Not by much, though. Seems we're doing okay. About 15 miles an hour. Time-wise, looks to be about 8 o'clock is our arrival time, which is about what we want. That seems a bit slower, though. We are gaining time, but that's fine. Should be there in no time. Yeah, we're at 2 miles out, so we should be fine. And we should be able to gain boiler pressure once we get to the top of the station. Get to the station. Whew. All right. And we're not, like, hurting the local by the looks of it. We're doing okay. They said this scenario was about 100 minutes long, and that definitely shows. Been recording for about 53 minutes, with some of that being half with a good chunk, with a small part of that you being cut out, but whatever. What the hell's going on in Discord? Okay. Oh, I see. Bro. Dude. Whatever. Alright, climb the grade, sir! Oh, we have ruined our boiler pressure now. Now, here's the bridge where I slipped. So how far are we out? About 1.5 miles. Got it. If we... Yeah, grade's leveling out here. So we can actually... Oh, there's another bridge up there. Holy shit. That's a long one. That's a long ditch crosser. Don't put more fuel in the fire. See if we can get the boiler pressure back up. Grade's at about 0.8% now. That's good. Whether it be Railroads Online or Train Sim Classic, I can never get the boiler pressure to work on these locomotives. Alright. We are pretty much over the top of the grade. I'm going to shut down the throttle here. Reduce the reg a bit. Yeah, open up. Oh, let's open the cylinder cocks first so we can, you know, clean that up. What the hell happened to the sunshine? Well, the sun's out. Again? What is with dovetailing the weather transitions in this game, I swear? Dovetail has a weird habit of having weather transitions that don't work very well. One and a quarter miles out, and we're running slow, but that's fine. We should be on the top. We should be on the arrival here, and should be good. We should have enough fuel to actually make it to Promontory, honestly, because that would be where's it at? 10. Oh, it's only 10 miles. Okay. Yeah, that's no trouble at all. The switching will take longer than that. Why did the game freeze there? What the hell happened there? Why you freeze? Oh, 14 miles an hour. We're not slipping, but we're doing okay. Check on situation. There we are. We're supposed to go into the main here. It looks like we're on the way. Alright, give enough water in the boiler. I'm gonna do that there real quick. And there's the signal. Got a signal coming up here. Make sure we're lined into... Yeah, we're lined through. Got it. So we don't even need to worry about signals. Oh, there's, fuel. Wood. Oh, coaling. Never mind. That's for coal, not wood. Oh well. Well, maybe. I can get some fuel and fire. I don't know. I mean, if I had coal, I would fill up with coal, but I don't think we're going to get coal. I don't think we're going to get any fuel here. Alright. We are less than a mile out. About 3/4 of a mile. We're going to be on time, though. That's for sure. Alright. I'll see about refueling the locomotive when we get up there, though. That's for sure. How you doing, sir? That is still creepy. What the hell are you doing, sir? Oh, he's looking at the boiler pressure gauge. Got it. That's a nice little sweeping curve there. That's impressive. I like that. It's also worth noting that this particular line between Promontory Summit and it's out of Promontory Summit, I believe, was still being used up until the 1920s. They're still using this, and I believe in the 1920s they decided to rip it up mostly to replace it with the Donner Pass line, which, to be fair, I feel like that was probably a better call. Do you need a call for the signal up there? No, don't need to. Just so long as we get the last car in the siding, we should be good. Because we're dropping off car number 5, which is the tail end car. Approved! I guess I did need a call for signals. Interesting. Alright, we made it. We made it, boys! We're around 1,000 gallons of water in the tender now, so that's not too bad. Alright, shut her down a little bit. We're on the top of the grade. Things have kind of climbed up here. Good. We're going to shut down the throttle so we don't speed out of the line. Open up the cylinders. Last car's in the siding there. Got it. We have water there. We can fill up with water if we need to. Hello, sir. Hello, my friends. Alright. Shut the throttle off there. We made it! So, next part, we're going to be doing some switching and then heading to Promontory Summit. So, like and comment down below. Subscribe if you guys want more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.